Hello everybody, I'm Paul Brody. I am still the global blockchain leader at EY. I know this actually because I had breakfast with my boss this morning, and whatever I did yesterday on day one of the blockchain summit was not bad enough that we had to have a difficult discussion. We have another amazing day lined up for you today, and to tell you all about today and to lead you through today's sessions, I want to introduce my incredible and amazing colleague, Clare Adelgren. She wears many hats. She's kind of our chief operating officer here at EY Blockchain, but also she at the moment is also acting as our chief product officer. And today is all about sort of the core technology and the products that are kind of built on top of that. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Clare. Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome everybody to day 2. And we have got a fantastic set of speakers and sessions lined up today. And we're going to be digging a little bit deeper into some of the real use cases, some of what's actually going on in the world of blockchain, and very much focused on industry and use case. And we have a lot of variety, a lot of panels and presentations for you. I think a couple of things. If you have any questions for our speakers today when we get started, then do use the Q&A button on screen. So you can submit your questions and I will get them fed to us so that our speakers are going to be able to get to as many of your questions as we can. If you have any technical issues with accessing the site, viewing the presentation, or with responding to polls, use the chat box, reach out, and the tech team is ready to help you with that. Do remember to look out for the Watch Next Session buttons. We did have some questions on that yesterday, so that you can be ready to dive into the next session. You do need to go and press a button for that, so don't forget to do it. And if you're watching in full screen mode, remember to go back to the main menu to click on the next session. That's my hot tip for the day. So let's get started with the very first session. And I'm going to just give you a little bit of an intro for this coming session. So we've got a panel lined up, and really what we're going to talk about is revolutionizing supply chain, right? And I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because whenever we talk about blockchain and supply chain, it's not new, everybody talks about it. We will try today to move from the very sort of ethereal level where it's very general to talking about some specifics. And what we're going to learn is there's a lot of very different use cases, and there's a lot of things that people mean when they say revolutionizing supply chain. It means a lot of different things to different people. We've got a great panel. Before I introduce them, I do want to tell you today, this session is CPE. For those of you that are watching that want to have CPE, do remember to answer the polling questions. There are 3 polling questions. You must answer all 3 to get your CPE credit. Do not forget as well that you have to watch the whole session. You can't just put it on and then go do something else. You need to be paying attention to those questions so that you get your CPE credit. And with that, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to introduce you to our speakers today. We are extremely excited to have some great clients with us, but not just great clients. I mean, these are people that are really working with blockchain. So yesterday in the session, we had some questions about, so when will we be ready? When will it be the right time to start working with blockchain? And I want you to get a feel today that for really just what the variety of work is that's going on out in the ecosystem today. And I think you're going to be impressed with the sheer variety of what we have that's going on. And first up, I'm going to introduce Julia. Julia De Giovanni is remote today. I'm so excited to have you joining us. Julia is head of innovation for Poste Italiana, and I mean, really, that's a very broad role. And I'm going to ask you first, maybe Julia, just to give us a little bit of a sense of what your role is, and really, what is your remit within the Poste Italiana?
Sure. I'll give you also, first of all, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you today and to tell you the story of Poste Italiane and blockchain. But first, I wanted to give you a brief overview of what Poste Italiane is. Poste Italiane is one of the largest companies in Italy. It's also surely one of the most diversified company in Italy. It's originally postal services, born 160 years ago, so we're talking of a very ancient somehow company, but we currently have 35 million customers, we have 20 million interactions a day, we have 13,000 point of sales and 130,000 employees. So this is just to give you a bit of the size of Poste Italiane. We are both listed in the stock exchange and we are as well publicly owned. So we have a mix of roles that is both as an industrial player, but also most of some of the work that we do, some of the innovation also that we study has a more of a systemic role. And I'll tell you something connected to blockchain in a bit. So I told you it's diversified. So we started with postal services. Now actually Poste Italiane works in the business of financial services, insurance services, payments, telco, energy, and of course not only postal services but logistics and parcel services now. So we are a very diversified business. This is very interesting for a head of innovation. I'm head of innovation at group level, so I look at all these businesses all together. And basically what we do is we try to push mid to long-term view on the business unit, on the strategy that we develop. And we do it through three main areas. One that is focused on analyzing trends and observe where technologies and business trends are going. One that is open innovation, so we collaborate with startups on all these businesses and several technologies, but also we have a prototyping and R&D team that actually focuses on cutting edge technologies. So we work on AI, we work on quantum, we work on AR, on IoT, and of course also blockchain. And so this is just to give you a bit of the context of the size of Poste, the complexity, of course, of doing innovation in such a player, and also the fact that our strategy so far has been to focus on different technologies and keep working on them independently from the stage, because we want to follow the technology mature, we want to identify use cases, we want to keep experimenting, and that's what we're doing basically in blockchain.
Yeah, I mean it's fantastic to hear, and I just hearing you describe it that way, Julie, I've got to say it sounds ridiculously complicated, I've got to say as well, because you've got a lot of, I mean, in and of themselves, independent projects, but that's a lot of things going on all at once. Because I guess in your head you're thinking about how do they all fit together. But I have one question. When did blockchain come into the picture for you? When did you start looking at blockchain?
We started working on blockchain in 2019, around 2019, and we started working on it by participating through the European Blockchain Service Infrastructure and Italian Blockchain Service Infrastructure Consortium.
Yeah.
So basically we started working on blockchain to understand how it could be applied to develop, to improve public services,
yeah,
or services that are for public utilities to the client. So Poste Italiane, having a positioning on digital identity, we are one of the main providers of digital identity solutions in Italy right now. we started working on the concept of the digital wallet, digital identity, and European wallet developed on blockchain infrastructure. So we prototyped both on IPSI and IPSI. So both the consortium we prototyped on European identity wallets developed on blockchain. Therefore, we currently manage a node of the Italian blockchain infrastructure. We have a team that still maintain our role in this kind of consortium. Unfortunately, or let me say that the European regulation for digital identity went on other types of technological solutions, but we are actually working on new streams in terms of use cases. Basically, we're working on NFTs, not with speculative intent, but as a way to enrich through digital services our offerings. We have the ancient postal stamps. They used to be collectibles for Italians. So we are reasoning on how to use NFTs to attract a new target segment, that is the younger people. Since for the postal stamps, we're also collaborating with artists, with content creators. We thought it would be a nice way to bring this type of content to the digital world, and that could be an idea. And we are starting from stamps, but the idea is to understand how NFTs or digital assets could enrich the rest of the offering. And another topic we are working on is on the traceability. This is also, let me say, Italy in a recent law has declared that we would want as a system to trace our production and our goods to guarantee the quality of the made in Italy. So in the IPSI consortium, we are renewing our participation there, and with other actors of the public sector, we are reasoning on what we could do to create blockchain traceability of the products, of the made in Italy products. Of course, with Post playing a role more on the logistics side. So how we can trace the whole logistics supply chain and integrated with other actors that actually trace other stuff.
Yeah, actually, you're touching on something. I'm very, very curious. As you describe it, when you embark on a project, the process that you go through, is it that you have a distinct list of problems that you're going after, and then you go find the technology that fits, or do you also do technology-led innovation, or is it a mix? Like, what does the portfolio look like today?
I believe, and I strongly believe as a leader in this topic, it's always a mix. If I did only technology-led innovation, I would probably lose sight of what are the business issues I'm trying to solve with this technology. But if I don't see technology trends and for technology use case, I don't have a stimulus for new stuff for business. So what we do when we work on trends, we work on both sides. So we look at the logistics market, and then we see AI applied to logistics payments and any other market, and also let me say cross-sectoral applications, or same we do with blockchain. So we basically have a mix, honestly, of sides on this topic.
Yeah, I mean it's super fascinating. I think you've already thrown out like at least 2-3 very different ideas, which of course they have the blockchain technology as a commonality, but actually the use cases are really quite different, is what you're describing. Have you been able yet to get feedback on any of the work that you're doing from the end customer? So from the sort of your sort of Italian customers, are they giving you feedback on? Have you been able to do that with any of your projects yet?
No, we not yet. I mean, with the stamps and with the digital assets, we are about to launch, so we didn't yet. We're gonna do a business simulation and test just to collect customer feedback and the traceability as well. We are still in the experimentation phase and trying to understand how we could work on it, how we could develop it, how it could work. So we're not there yet. We were, let me say, more mature on the digital identity side, but that is another topic, let me say. So on these latter use cases, we are starting now to understand how to experiment them with the market. Honestly, when it comes to blockchain specifically, what we've been through a series of challenges because, let me say, I see two kind of issues when it comes to maturity of blockchain, and one has been also through like innovation with our technology team is how substitutable is blockchain with traditional software. And the other challenge has been what would actually challenge this assumption would be if we worked on blockchain with different actors. Not something that I develop internally, but it's a participation of players in the blockchain. And when it comes to that, and that would be probably the key, so the use cases that we need to find are, let me say, a system not only like specific to one corporate player. The challenge to that is that, of course, when you ask players to open themselves and share their data, it's not that easy. So that's why we are focusing also on the system, public administration system. That way, maybe we can find a use case that actually leverages on the competencies of and all the data of everyone. And if the use case is not on a critical topic, but it's like a critical data topic, then probably it would be the right use case to actually exploit this technology on a more mature level.
Fantastic. Oh my goodness. I am going to pivot and to you now, Diego. I think when we're switching now from two incredibly different scenarios. I mean, I think listening to that, it's a different world.
Yeah.
Than the world that you're in. So I wonder maybe, Diego, if you could just maybe introduce yourself to everybody that's online and give them a little bit of a flavor of what your role entails and what your mission is.
Yeah, I'm Diego Mazzonelli, the IT manager of Angelini Wines and Estates. So we are talking about wines. We are a group of 7 wineries in the most valuable and legendary land of Italy. So I'm talking, we have 3 wineries in Tuscany, near Chianti, Montepulciano and Montalcino, 2 in Marche, 1 in Friuli Venezia Giulia, and the headquarters is near Verona, is Cantina Bertani, where I have my office and where I live in Verona. So we are talking about winery business. There's a typical, very traditional, very historical business, and my mission as a IT manager is to mix 2 souls of what is the historical, traditional, and the legacy of winemaking, and the new technology, the new solution, and mix it together to go to the market. And one of my first project was about blockchain, helped by EY, obviously, and is one of the best projects I ever had in Angelini, because it's also very fun. Yes, the mixture between the tradition and the innovation of a technology that is very, very new, very fresh for winery. And everything started with a question, and we believe that blockchain will be one of the only right answer to the question. And the question is, okay, we have our product, we have our wine, but how can we spread the intangible values of our wines, our product? Because yeah, everybody knows about a bottle of wine, and almost everybody can tell if it's good or not. But
that's a bold statement.
yeah, I hope so. But what I have to learn in the last 3 years in Angelini Wines and Estates, and there is more behind the bottle, and there a lot of value as is for us the opportunity to spread and to communicate to the customer is very important. And the answer of the question, and the question is how can we do it, is the blockchain and the new technology.
Exactly. I mean, I think this is a really interesting case, and because there's quite a lot of distance. I know that when we were talking ahead of the interview, and you were telling me that you're building a relationship. You're building a relationship with your end customer, and your end customer, you don't normally have that, right? You don't have a relationship with most of the people that are drinking your wines.
No, that's a typical problem or limitation of our business, because we don't even know our end customers. Because we sell the wines, especially out of Italy, through our distributor and resellers. So blockchain can be a useful project to reach the customers, and in the future steps to ask the customer to come back to us with other information.
Exactly. You're able to sort of be able to capture that information and preserve it along with the product all the way through. It doesn't matter where it's going through the supply chain, but you're able to take that information and make it available to the end customer.
Yeah, because the first step is to bring the customer into the winery.
Yes.
And the second will be, I hope so, that we can share information with the end customer to know what we have to do in the future.
Yeah. I think when we were talking before, you put it so nicely, because when we talk about traceability in general terms, it's easy to think that it's oversimplified a little bit. But the way that you think about it up to the when it leaves the cellar, and then everything that happens after the cellar, and they're sort of two different information sets.
Yeah, we think about traceability in two legs. The first leg is what happened from the vineyard to the market, and what we have done till today is to try to trace for some of our products what happened in the first leg. So when we hold on all what happens to the wines and to the bottles. The next step will be try to trace what happened to the wines and the bottle after the exit to the market. Is very challenging because we have the necessity to include our customer, our sellers, our wine lover in this project. But is what we are trying to do in the future.
Yeah, it's super exciting, because I think it's thinking of it, and actually I can see quite a lot of similarity here actually with what you're doing, Julia, in that you're creating a whole new channel. You're creating a communication with an end user that ordinarily you wouldn't have had. And we've got lots of other channels by which you create relationships, but this is almost a new channel where you can include information. Hopefully we can build the information coming back to have a much tighter connection back with the winery, with the estate, and maybe, I don't know, I can't help but feel we're doing this interview in the wrong place. I feel like I should have gotten to go to Italy We should be in Verona now. We shouldn't be sitting with this background. I feel like we could have been doing this somewhere else.
Better than Angelini Wines.
Yes, exactly. You could have come and joined us, Julia. We could have been there. I feel like we're missing that. But that's the sort of relationship I think that it would be wonderful to create. That, you know, when you're enjoying a wine that you've actually got at your fingertips, a relationship, you've seen where that is. We're talking here about some of your wines. They're in the cellar for a long time, right? I mean, yeah, they truly are. So I think I'm going to try and open it up a little bit, because we were already getting some questions in, guys. So it doesn't surprise me at all. So the first question is, how is the wine bottle physically tagged for immutable tracing? So, Angelini, what are you doing there with the bottles themselves?
Oh yeah, that's a good question, because we are starting now in this day to put a physical tag on our premium wine. I'm talking about Amarone della Valpolicella, with NFT on the bottle. That can have two different purposes. The brand protection, because we have a lot of
fraud, or is it people that try to impersonate you?
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Impersonators.
And to guarantee the genuinity of the bottle, and you know that Amarone, or maybe not, Amarone can stay in our cellar also for minimum 9 years, and also 70 years.
Wow.
So we can, using this technology, certificate not only the genuinity of the bottle, but also that the bottle have been kept in the right way in our cellar. And we are starting with another project like this in these weeks.
Okay, I think that's going to be exciting. Then I think it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is from.
Yeah, because with that project we can begin to see the response from the end user.
Yeah, and I do just want to acknowledge today we should have another couple of speakers on, and we're having great difficulty to get them on and connected today from Norway. So I know we've got a lot of questions already coming in for the two of you, so I'm going to keep asking the questions, but I am going to try and keep a little bit of time as well, just to talk a little bit about what Allot is doing as well. Hopefully we can get them on, but if not, I can certainly share with you the story of what we're doing with them, because it's a very different case again. We've got this is an interesting question, maybe for both of you to think about. But what are the main criteria that should be considered to define whether blockchain should be adopted or not? So when you've thought about using blockchain, and maybe I'm going to start this one with you, Julia, because you're working with a lot of different technologies. When you're thinking about solving a problem, for you, when would be your sort of litmus test of, okay, this would be a good use case for blockchain?
Let me say, I would look to use cases that involve different actors, that involve sharing of information. So, and these are, let me say, characteristics that are common to the traceability use case that I think it's right now. I think it's the killer one, because we managed to pull together easily information and histories of something that come from completely different actors. So those are the criteria we look at. It could also be anything connected to, for instance, public utility services where different public administrations need to talk to each other, or need to exchange data on the citizen. So I think that it's differentiating with respect to other technologies when we share information and data among different actors. Of course, those that come, I think that when it comes to sharing data, what is important is that it's not too critical, because otherwise the companies will have a barrier to use blockchain that is very open and less controlled, and I send you the anonymized or this kind of service data. It would be more critical. So I would say these are the criteria on my side.
And is it the same for you, do you think? Is it this common information or this sort of ability to see something over time, or is there another?
But I think that the key is to trace the production of the wine. What we have found, we have changed our mind so many times, and maybe tomorrow I will answer in a different way. Now it's some kind of storytelling using blockchain, and it's better fit with our typical and particular product. So now it fits better with our premium quality wine and particular. And when I'm talking about particular wine, I'm talking about the new wave of wine. So I'm talking about biological wine, or even no alcohol or zero alcohol wine.
So it's a very distinct.
It's where blockchain in the supply chain can work better for us.
Yeah, and I can answer the question as well from our perspective. When we're thinking about products, sort of the products that we choose to build out on blockchain, one of the things, because people come to us all the time with ideas, we're not short of people. I mean, EY is full of people, and the more people you have, the more ideas you have for use cases. So I get a lot of ideas for use cases of the things that I should be building, and the one sort of litmus test that we're always using as well is it a use case that really needs decentralization? Is it core to it? Does it matter? Because if it doesn't matter, then there's probably another way that you can solve the problem, and a little quicker, in some cases at least. But I mean, we do try to sort of put that at the center and test the use case that way. And very often, I would say I relate a lot with what you're saying, Julia, because we also look at, is it a common piece of information that matters to more than one party? And if it is, and it has to be the same, and it's important that it has integrity, then the chances are that yes, this would be a really good test bed to try it out. Let me just see if we can go to one more question here. This is quite a good one actually, and I'm going to maybe pose it to you first, Diego, maybe. But has blockchain changed the way international trade is for you, or do you anticipate? I should say anticipate maybe for you, right? But
because blockchain in international trade is could be the link with the customers.
Yeah.
And not only to display and share our traditional, our story, our production, but always also to connect to the end customers, and that's, I think, the main difference that blockchain can do in the international trade.
Yeah, you keep that integrity all the way through, and it's not going to really depend on where the end customer ends up, I assume. Does that play into your world at all, Julia, as well? In terms of that, I think it's a very much an international one. I'm thinking to myself, from outside of Italy looking in now, I want to go buy stamps because I'd love to see some of those NFT stamps. But how do you think, or do you anticipate that it might change your way of working?
I say it's a hard question because international trade is quite a complicated business. So probably blockchain wouldn't be the only technology we needed there. Of course, we are mainly national player. We do logistics internationally, also through partnership, especially with DHL. But for what I know, we don't use blockchain in an industrialized way yet on these kind of processes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a very different type of environment that you're solving for, actually, for sure. Now, I'm going to share with you both. It's a great shame that we haven't been able to get Sophia and Lars on to join us today. But Sophia and Lars, they're both working for a company called Allot that's based in Norway, and I really do want to give them a shout out because their company is different again. It's quite different from the situation for Angelini Wines and Estates. It's very different from Poste Italiane in that it's a brand new company. I mean, they have just formed it. And Lars Dysterud Hansen is a true visionary in the space of thinking about and passionate about sustainability, passionate about the environment. And I think the vision that he has is that actually there's a very different way to go about being able to solve some of the environmental problems that we have in the world. And so the whole construct or ethos of Allot is to reimagine the way people can donate and we can create good out of those donations to actually exercise real concrete impact on both the climate or the world that we're living in. And there's a lot of different scenarios, but very specifically the thought process and why, and Sophia is his blockchain strategist that's sitting right at the heart of the new company, because the thought process is if someone donates and is donating, for example, a donation to purchase the capital investment needed to put equipment into clean water, right? Collect plastics from water. If you're donating that money, then you have an intrinsic interest to know what happens next. What is the impact? What's my personal impact of my donation in this case? How much plastic has been collected? When was it collected? Am I making a difference? And so the ethos and the model that they've created together, which is so incredibly exciting because it's a truly sort of decentralized use case to solve a problem that we've been trying to solve for a long time. It's certainly not new that we donate money to make the world better. I think everyone can relate to that. But how can we make the relationship better? How do you keep that relationship going? How do you make that interesting? And so we've started out, it's starting small, but again, tokenizing and allowing people to be able to see over time the impact of that. And obviously later you can think about tokenizing the plastics collection in a similar way. What's the impact of what I've put money into? Can I see it? Can I get a sense of where that is? And it's much more personable than when you see the sort of the big outputs from the small inputs. You can make it personal to you as a donor through doing that. And so a truly different idea, a very different sort of company, and a brand new one. But it would have been remiss for me not to at least share that with everybody in the context of this. And one of the things that strikes me when you think about the revolutionizing the supply chain, and people make these big statements about, oh, we're going to change supply chain with blockchain. What I wanted to illustrate with this session is it doesn't actually matter whether you're 160 years old like Poste Italiane, whether you're trying to transform something that's as traditional and I would say the whole quality and ethos of what you do in the wine industry, it sits with it. Whether you're creating a brand new company, this is real. These are all very real, very tangible use cases that you can get started with. And that's going to be my question to you as we sort of think about closing out this. I'd like to get a little bit practical and get some advice, because we've got a lot of people that are watching that just don't know where to get started. They don't know because supply chain's too broad. It's a far too big a brush to try to relate to for your company and where you are. So if you had the consulting hat on, what would be your advice on starting? Where would you start from, Julia? What would you suggest? If you can remember back, because you've been in the journey now for quite a while, so.
I believe that thinking of like big areas, like the entire supply chain, would actually put anyone in huge difficulties. But in terms of any kind of technology, even all the other cutting-edge technologies, thinking that the first application is to revolutionize an entire operating model. It's very strategic. It's something that we should do, but it's something that would probably won't bring us in a space where we can actually do something. So I think, and it's part also of the mission of my area, that is basically focused on experimentation and prototyping, as well as, let me say, the strategy as well, the innovation strategy as well, but we do it as we experiment. So the idea is to find something that is an issue that has a resolution that is connected to the criteria that we talked about before. It's something that is decentralized and requires the interaction of different actors, but not in the entire supply chain, but just find a space that is even the closest to you and the one that you know better, because you need to be able to analyze it, and just try it. Just try it, because at least in any kind of innovation or cutting edge technology, you need to try things to learn how they work, what is good, what is not good, how you could change or use it a little bit better. So I think like have both a strategic view, but also like just understand what is the value of this technology and just find a use case you can try it on. One topic that you mentioned before that I think is very interesting could be the connection between blockchain and sustainability. Because sustainability and social purpose topics, because those are topics that actually require the collaboration between actors, the fact that information is fragmented, the fact that we need, especially our generations, need to have more of a view on the purpose of things, of products, of anything that we produce, and I think that could be also an interesting, more transversal point of view to develop. I don't have like a use case to tell you now, but as you were talking before, I was thinking about it.
I think there's a lot of room there, and I quite like the idea of just finding somewhere, and maybe find, like, it doesn't have to be. You can get started with a quite small footprint to start with. You don't have to do it across your entire business. That's exactly what you did, right?
Yeah.
You chose very carefully. Let's try it here. What advice would you give? Is that your?
Yeah, it's quite similar. Everything starts with a need or a new need, and then you start thinking, and you identify a solution. For us was blockchain, and then you have, for us was to choose where to try to develop blockchain. So we have 7 wineries, so we have a very large portfolio. But we have to make a choice, and we choose 2 free products that in our idea, in the scenario, could work better with the blockchain. And also we start with only one kind of blockchain, one kind of traceability. And yes, from day 2 we have a lot of idea, a lot of new idea every day, but we have to concentrate for the first step in the traceability, as we already talked about, in the first step of our life for our wine.
Yeah.
And then once you have done, you can grow, or you can adjust and grow what the use of a blockchain in your business is.
Yeah, I like that thought process. I just had one question for myself that I'm intrigued as well, because I have this sense sometimes when I'm talking, especially when I'm talking to people that are just trying to get their arms around it at the beginning, is, and I should preface this with having quite a long technology background, so I've worked in a lot of technologies, like actually both of you have. But I often experience that a lot of people have the perception that working with blockchain is very, very difficult, that this is going to be something that's hard and complex. And I'm intrigued to know, with all of your experience, is that your experience of working with it? Is it technically difficult to do it, or was it easier, or is it hard? Is it hard to find the resources, or do you find the skills? I mean, tell me a little bit about what that feels like. And I'll start. I'll start with you, Diego, and then we'll come to.
No, for us it was very easy, because the solution are here, are accessible, and are real. In my case, in our case, so we sell products, and we already have all the information that we need to put on the blockchain. But I think that the difficult part is not the technical part, but to understand what you have to do to go onto the blockchain.
Yeah, the business aspect of it.
And also, clearly, you have to be to know what you are expecting from a blockchain. But the technology part is not so difficult.
Not so difficult, no. And I feel it's matured a lot. It's matured a lot. You're not building from the beginning. What's your experience, Julia? Is it?
Let me say, my understanding. Of course, I'm more business person, but I have a lab that actually is technically skilled. But I've discussed a lot with them about this technology, because they've been working on that for a long time, and yet we can't find a way to industrialize it on a huge, let me say, the entire Poste Italiana. We are still experimenting, testing, etc. My thought is that there's no issues in technical issues or technological difficulties when we talk about vertical use cases. If there's maybe some technological issues, is to integrate the use case with the rest.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to develop. I mean, we've talked about a use case, let me say, 1 month ago, and they're already almost developed it, and they're doing also other stuff. So my guess is that it's not hard.
No.
What is more hard is to integrate it technologically, and most of all, I agree with Diego, it's more of finding the right use case.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when I see it in the scale of like a player, like a huge corporate player like Poste, before adopting a completely new technology, you must demonstrate that is the technology to do things with, and there's no alternative. So the hard part is to find the right business use cases that demonstrate that, more than the vertical technical development, but that's my understanding, of course, of the technical part.
Yeah, it's nice for me to hear, and I feel like it is such an important message to get out for people as well, because it's one of those areas or projects that you can both start small, but it doesn't have to be complicated. From the technical aspects of it are almost the most straightforward. I mean, that's what I'm hearing from you, and it very much depends on whether you have the data and it's already part of your process that you're building off of, or whether you're trying to create something new. And I think we'll relate to that. We've got some sessions coming up later today where we're going to talk about things like the carbon emissions and some of these things. Some of that's very new. This is new data and very new processes that need to be established. And so you have to build, if you like, the process, build the data to be able to do that. And I think that we have Sophia joining, actually. Is that Sophia Adampour who's joining us, from Norway today, from Oslo? Welcome.
Well,
And maybe we don't have a huge amount of time left. Hi, Lars. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you both. I don't know if you've been able to hear any of the session to date, but I feel like I want to jump and give you a little bit of an opportunity to speak with the time that we have left. So maybe if we start with you, Lars, and you can introduce yourself, and I would love you to share with the audience. I did tee you up. I gave them a little taster before of what Allot is and what you're trying to achieve, but I would love to hear it from you. What's your vision for Allot? And then we'll go to Sophia to talk a little bit about why blockchain is so essential at the core of it. Because I think in your case, you've got a very fresh business model that's sort of almost designed in and around what you can do with blockchain. It's an incredibly good fit for your use case. So maybe you can walk us through that, Lars.
yeah, well, I've been doing this for, both solar and plastic and cleaning oceans for 20 years now. And when we started to work with the blockchain solution for this, it's absolutely incredible how it fits into the exact way that we want to develop a way to be able to, let's say, save the planet in large scale.
Just like that. That sounds like a very big. You make it sound so easy when you say that, but it's true. That is where your passion is, right? It is a vision that's that big.
That's absolutely correct. No, I've been doing all of this privately and business-wise for 20 years, but with blockchain, we get everything we need to make this, let's say, transparent and traceability and scalability. Everything is doable by using blockchain for us.
Yeah, and maybe Sophia, can I ask you maybe to introduce yourself to the audience and give them a little bit of an understanding of what your role is?
Thank you so much. Of course, Lars and I met based and agreed on collaborating on this project based on our common belief in a better world, wanting to make sure that there is transparency when it comes to the donation market. There are huge players out there that maybe haven't administered. If you donate, 31% isn't going to the cause you're thinking you're donating to. So it's an untouched market. The donation market needs to be tokenized in some way. So we're waiting for this to happen. Because we do believe that tokenization is a solution to a lot of the problems we're meeting, whether it's corruption or the lack of trust. And I think it's what we want to create here is a community around it as well. Being allowed, because it's also connected to a lot of good deeds.
Yeah.
So making branding around doing good deeds and contributing to a system like this by integrating EY Ops Chain, which is a great partner for us in this case, as the primary challenge has been lack of visibility or accountability within the traditional donation system, which maybe cause donors like feel disconnected. But we want to bring that, make it more alive into the digital sphere. When you, like in the traditional space, you may have a physical postcard on your refrigerator with an image of someone you're donating to or contributing to. We want to do this in the digital space, where you can, with an NFT, log in and see the real-time impact of your contributions, see this ocean be cleansed by our partner, Clean Sea Solutions, which we have already partnered with and already are scaling with at some point. So yeah, it's totally different from other projects, having been in the crypto space since 2017 and done been a part of Bored Apes and Pudgy Penguins. We all want to contribute to a real life, having real impact based on these real world assets that we are now securing through our platform. And we wanted to make it in a way that the average Joe on the street can also feel a part of something bigger, and it doesn't have to be that tech savvy.
I think so, and it's really, I'm so glad that you made it onto the session today, because you're already touching on a couple of quite different sort of, I would say, emphasis points, right? We've talked previously on this session about it opening up a new relationship with the end customer in some cases, right? And I think you're touching on transparency and this trust being so essential to the ecosystem that you want to operate within, right? Those are the two really important ones. I think with that, very often what comes to mind with me is, trust and it's very often about standards. And I mean, how do you view, and to what are you building into your model to help with that trust when it comes to thinking about aligning to standards and things that people can attach to understand that they can trust you? I mean, tell me a little bit about your thought process there. Who are you looking to? Who are you partnering with? And what are the standards that you're trying to embed into the process?
You want me to answer, Sophia?
Yeah, we have already partnered with EY when it comes to the EY Ops Chain, which we are very glad to have partnered with also other players, like I previously mentioned, Clean Sea Solutions, but also the people who are within the Web3 space as of today, who understand the need for traceability. But Lars could also mention some other partners, and because Lars, this was something that you weren't that familiar with, but wanted to engage in because you saw the potential.
Well, yeah, and the other, I mean, it's quite simple, because we need to measure everything we do. Everything need to be real time. Everything need to be traceable, and that's the whole model we are doing. Everything should be completely open. You can follow everything from A to the end of the life circle, and by doing so, I think it's more engaging as well, because everything is live. I mean, the plastic collector in the ocean, like a solar park, you can see everything in real time.
Fantastic.
Exactly.
Well,
and
thank you. I'm so sorry, because I think I'm going to have to close it there. I'm going to definitely have to have you all back, except we discussed before you came on. Next time we're going to do it in Verona, I think. We're going to come to Diego in Verona. To the winery, I think that should be. Thank you so much, Julia. It's been such a pleasure to have you on, and also to you, Diego. It's been so nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Lars and Sophia, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your stories with everybody today. And next session, guys, don't go away.